What if the breakfast you force yourself to eat every morning in the name of heart health is exactly what is driving your blood sugar out of control? I see this cruel paradox every day. So many people over 60 are destroying their blood sugar numbers each morning because they are terrified of a single egg. Instead, they fill their bowls with instant oatmeal or pour a glass of fruit juice, believing the heart-healthy labels on the box. Because nothing says health like drinking liquefied sugar first thing in the morning, the silent consequence in an aging body is devastating. Your pancreas gets completely exhausted, your blood sugar spikes like a roller coaster, and a heavy fatigue follows you right into the afternoon. I am Dr. Claire Whitmore. Over the last 20 years of directly adjusting nutritional protocols for older adults managing diabetes, I have realized something profound. The biggest mistake my patients make is not eating too much. It is accidentally removing the body's natural protectors from their plate. Today I need to warn you about the 4 survival rules for eating eggs to lower your blood sugar. We will count down these 4 rules, but make absolutely sure you stay with me for number 1. It completely flips the golden rule of when you should eat eggs, and it is the exact secret that can change the number on your glucose meter by tomorrow morning. Before we begin, I would love to know something about your morning routine. When was the last time you ate a whole egg with the yolk, or have you been avoiding them for years? Leave a comment below. I read every single one. Let's start with number 4. The deep-rooted fear that is probably keeping eggs out of your kitchen right now. The cholesterol myth. For decades you were told to throw away the yolk to protect your heart. You were told by well-meaning professionals that eating the yellow part of the egg would clog your arteries and lead straight to a heart attack. So you dutifully separated the whites or bought those expensive liquid egg substitutes, thinking you were making the smart and healthy choice for your golden years. But here is the biological truth that modern medical science has firmly established. The cholesterol you eat does not automatically become the cholesterol that clogs your arteries. Your liver is a master chemist and a highly intelligent organ. It produces its own cholesterol every single day because your body desperately needs it to build hormones, maintain nerve function, and repair damaged cells. When you eat foods containing dietary cholesterol, your liver simply adapts and produces less to balance it out. The real culprits driving up your bad lipids are not eggs. The real villains are the refined sugars, highly processed carbohydrates, and synthetic trans fats that hide in packaged foods. By throwing away the yolk out of fear, you have actually been discarding a concentrated capsule of essential medicine. The yolk is where the true power of the egg lives. It contains a high concentration of choline, a nutrient that is absolutely vital for your liver to metabolize and clear out fat. When you are managing diabetes or pre-diabetes, your liver is already under immense stress and needs all the metabolic support it can get to prevent the fatty liver conditions that severely worsen insulin resistance. But that is not all. The yolk also delivers potent antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, which act as internal sunglasses, protecting your aging retinas from the slow, irreversible damage caused by chronically elevated blood sugar. And crucially, the yolk provides a highly bioavailable form of vitamin D. Recent clinical analysis examining geriatric glycemic habits strongly confirms that vitamin D plays a direct and profound role in improving insulin sensitivity right at the cellular level. This means it literally helps your aging cells open their doors wider to let glucose exit your bloodstream and be used for energy. I want to tell you about Linda to show you what this looks like in the real world. Linda came into my clinic when she was 67 years old. For 3 long years, she had diligently avoided egg yolks because a previous doctor had frightened her about her lipid panel. She truly thought she was doing the right thing. To replace her morning eggs, she started eating a large bowl of instant oatmeal drizzled with honey, along with a slice of dry whole wheat toast every single morning. She was following the standard advice. But when I looked at her lab results, her A1C had climbed dangerously to 8.1%. Even worse, she was showing early signs of sarcopenia, which is the silent and dangerous loss of muscle mass that accelerates as we age. By cutting out the yolk and the complete high-quality protein of the whole egg, she had unknowingly starved her muscles of the exact biological building blocks they needed to stay strong and prevent frailty. Instead, she had replaced that vital protein with a massive load of carbohydrates that spiked her morning blood sugar into the 200s before she even finished her coffee. Linda was exhausted, feeling frail and incredibly frustrated because she thought she was following all the rules. The first thing I told her was to stop fearing the yolk. Once we put 2 whole eggs back into her morning routine and removed those processed rapid digesting oats, the transformation was undeniable. Her muscle tone stabilized, her energy returned, and her A1C began a steady, beautiful decline. You have to understand that the yolk is not your enemy. It is a highly protective shield for your eyes, your liver, and your metabolic health. Now let us move to number 3 on our list, which is a biological strategy I call the protein preload sequence. Having 2 whole eggs on your plate gives you roughly 12 grams of pristine, high-quality protein. But simply having them on your plate is not enough to protect you. The exact sequence in which you eat those eggs determines how violently your blood sugar will react for the rest of the morning. This is based on a concept in clinical endocrinology known as chrononutrition. It simply means that the chronological order of the food entering your digestive tract matters just as much as the nutritional content of the food itself. For most of your life, you have probably eaten your breakfast all mixed together. You might take a bite of toast, then a bite of your egg, then a sip of juice. That works fine when you are young. But as your body ages, it loses that youthful metabolic flexibility. I want you to imagine your empty stomach as a hard, bare brick wall. Now imagine the carbohydrates you eat like a piece of toast or a bowl of fruit as a handful of rubber bouncy balls. If you throw those bouncy balls directly against the hard, empty wall, they are going to bounce back with violent, aggressive force. In your body, that violent bounce translates into a massive, sudden spike in your blood sugar. Your digestive enzymes break down those unprotected carbohydrates, instantly flooding your bloodstream with glucose. But what happens if you hang a thick, heavy protective net in front of that wall before you throw the balls? The net catches them, absorbs all the impact, and they fall gently to the ground. When you eat your eggs first, before you touch a single carbohydrate, you are building that protective net inside your gut. The medical mechanism behind this is absolutely fascinating, and it is highly specific to the aging digestive system. As we get into our 60s and 70s, our stomach naturally takes slightly longer to empty. When you eat your egg protein first, it enters the duodenum, which is the very first part of your small intestine. The physical presence of that dense egg protein triggers an immediate and powerful biological alarm system. It commands your intestinal tract to release natural endogenous incretin hormones, specifically one called GLP-1. You have probably heard the news talking endlessly about expensive injectable medications that mimic GLP-1 to treat diabetes and drive weight loss. Well, eating your eggs first actually stimulates your own body to produce its natural supply of this exact same hormone. This hormone release puts physical brakes on your digestion. It drastically slows down the rate at which your stomach empties the rest of your meal into your intestines. To show you how powerful this is, I want to point you to rigorous clinical trials published recently in the prestigious journal Diabetologia. Researchers used continuous glucose monitors on patients and found something truly incredible. Simply by changing the order of the meal, eating the protein and vegetables first, and saving the carbohydrates for last, patients reduced their total post-meal glucose spikes by 30 to 50%. Let that sink in for a moment. You can achieve a 30 to 50% reduction in the total volume of sugar hitting your bloodstream simply by eating your eggs before your toast. You have to realize that the pancreas of a 70-year-old does not react the way it did when you were 30. The beta cells inside your pancreas, which are the tiny factories that manufacture your insulin, naturally lose their rapid secretory capacity over the decades. They become tired. If you hit them with a sudden load of fast-digesting carbohydrates, they simply cannot pump out enough insulin quickly enough to cover the spike. Your blood sugar rockets into the danger zone and stays there, causing microscopic damage to your blood vessels. But when you use the protein preload sequence by eating your eggs first, you buy your aging pancreas the one thing it desperately needs, which is time. Because the egg protein slows down the delivery of the carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises as a gentle rolling hill instead of a steep, jagged cliff. Your pancreas can easily handle a gentle hill. It secretes a slow, steady trickle of insulin that perfectly matches the slow release of glucose. This is how you work with your aging body instead of fighting against it. You do not necessarily have to starve yourself of the foods you love. You just use the egg as a biological tool to shield your metabolism. Now we arrive at number 2, which is perhaps the most tragic mistake of all. I call this the danger of the toxic pan. You can take the healthiest, most metabolically protective food in the entire world and completely destroy its biological benefits before it even leaves your kitchen. Over the years, I have seen hundreds of patients who truly believed they were eating a healthy, diabetic-friendly breakfast just because there was an egg on their plate. But the way they were preparing and pairing that egg was actively locking up their pancreas. Let us look at what a standard morning looks like for so many people. You drop a large pat of butter or pour a heavy glug of vegetable oil into a hot frying pan. You crack the eggs in and let them fry until the edges are crispy and brown. Then you slide those oily eggs onto a plate right next to 2 slices of white toast, maybe some processed sausage or bacon, and you wash it all down with a large glass of fresh orange juice. You might look at that plate and think it is a classic balanced breakfast. But from the perspective of an aging endocrine system, that plate is a biological disaster. When you fry eggs in heavy amounts of fat, and then immediately pair them with the refined carbohydrates of the toast and the liquid sugar of the juice, you are creating a lethal metabolic combination. The heavy saturated fats and cooking oils do something very specific inside your body. They temporarily paralyze your cellular insulin receptors. Imagine those fats coating the outside of your cells like a thick layer of grease, literally blocking the doors where glucose is supposed to enter. Then, just minutes later, the liquid sugar from the juice and the highly refined carbs from the toast hit your bloodstream. Your blood sugar rockets upward, but because the cellular doors are blocked by that layer of fat, the sugar has nowhere to go. It remains trapped in your blood. This toxic combination knocks out your insulin system almost instantly, leaving you with numbers stubbornly pushing 200 all morning. The golden rule for older adults managing diabetes is strict, but it is incredibly simple. You must eliminate the cooking oil. Eggs already contain the absolute perfect amount of natural healthy fat inside the yolk. They do not need extra help to cook. The best way to prepare them is to gently scramble them in a high-quality non-stick pan without a single drop of added oil or butter. Keep the heat medium-low and just let them cook gently. Now I know that standing at the stove cooking every morning can sometimes feel like too much of a chore, especially if you are dealing with arthritis in your hands or you simply wake up feeling tired. If that is the case, there is a brilliant and effortless solution. You need to hard-boil a batch of eggs twice a week and keep them ready in your refrigerator. This takes all the friction and effort out of your morning routine. The egg is perfectly protected inside its shell, retaining all of its nutrients, and you have an instant, pure protein source ready the moment you walk into the kitchen. But an egg should not do all the heavy lifting alone. It needs the right biological companions to truly stabilize your numbers. This brings us to what you pair it with. You must divorce your eggs from the bread. Instead, your eggs have a new best friend, and that is half of a ripe avocado. The healthy monounsaturated fat in the avocado does not require any insulin to digest. It simply sits in your stomach, acting as a secondary brake, slowing down your digestion even further and keeping you full until lunch. Alongside that avocado, add a handful of fresh spinach or a few slices of tomato. Spinach is deeply rich in magnesium, which is a critical mineral that most people with diabetes are severely lacking. Magnesium acts like a biological key that helps unlock your insulin receptors, making your natural insulin work much more effectively. I want you to be completely honest with me right now. How did you cook your eggs this morning? Did you use olive oil, seed oil, butter, or did you manage to use no oil at all? Go ahead and tell me down in the comments so I can understand exactly what you are working with in your kitchen. And now we reach number 1. This is the ultimate rule, the one strategy that completely overturns everything you have ever been taught about when you are actually supposed to eat an egg. I call this the nighttime liver switch, and it is the key to solving the most frustrating mystery my older patients face. Have you ever gone to sleep with a perfectly normal blood sugar level, eaten absolutely nothing throughout the entire night, and then woken up the next morning to find your numbers inexplicably high? It is maddening. You feel like your body is playing a cruel trick on you. You might even start blaming yourself, thinking you must have accidentally eaten something wrong before bed. But it is not a trick, and it is not your fault. It is a well-documented biological event known as the nocturnal liver dump. You see, when you are asleep, your body is essentially fasting, but your brain still requires a constant supply of energy to keep your heart beating and your lungs breathing. To provide this energy, your liver steps in and acts as a biological glucose reservoir, automatically releasing small amounts of sugar into your bloodstream throughout the night. This is a survival mechanism. The problem arises when this natural system becomes deeply dysfunctional as insulin resistance progresses with age. When you eat a heavy carbohydrate dinner, like a large portion of white rice, potatoes, or pasta, your insulin spikes dramatically before you go to bed. By the middle of the night, that insulin causes your blood sugar to drop sharply. Your body panics, perceiving this sudden drop as a dangerous threat. It triggers a stress response, releasing cortisol and adrenaline, which then force your liver to violently dump massive amounts of stored glucose into your blood. That is exactly why you wake up with numbers in the danger zone. This is where the power of circadian biology and the egg comes into play. For your entire life, you have kept eggs securely locked inside a mental box labeled breakfast food. To stabilize your morning numbers, you must break that rule and move the egg to the dinner table. When you replace that evening bowl of rice or pasta with the high-quality, complete protein of 2 eggs, you completely alter your overnight metabolic profile. The egg protein digests slowly and steadily, providing a calm, sustained release of amino acids without triggering that massive insulin spike. Because your hormones remain perfectly stable throughout the night, your liver never receives the panic signal. It simply releases a tiny controlled trickle of glucose, just enough to keep you functioning, but never enough to cause a spike. Let me share the story of Charles to show you exactly how this works in real life. Charles was 71 years old, and he was incredibly frustrated. Despite taking his metformin religiously every single evening, his fasting blood sugar the next morning was consistently stuck between 160 and 170. He felt defeated. When we reviewed his daily routine, he told me that his typical dinner was a moderate piece of chicken, but it was always served over a large mound of white rice. He thought it was a light, healthy meal because it was not overly greasy. I explained to him that the massive carbohydrate load from the rice was setting off an overnight hormonal chain reaction. I asked Charles to make just one single change. I told him to completely remove the white rice at dinner and replace it with a simple 2-egg omelet cooked without oil, loaded with fresh mushrooms and a handful of leafy greens. He looked at me like I was crazy for suggesting eggs at night, but he agreed to try. 3 weeks later, Charles sat in my office and showed me his glucose log with a huge smile on his face. His morning fasting numbers had dropped from the 170s down to a beautiful stable range of 115 to 125. We did not increase his medication dosage at all. We simply used the metabolic power of the egg to flip his nighttime liver switch. By taking the egg out of the breakfast box and using it strategically at dinner, Charles stopped his liver from flooding his system with sugar while he slept. If you want to wake up tomorrow morning and see a lower number on that meter, this is the single most powerful habit you can adopt today. That humble egg sitting in your refrigerator right now is actually one of the most powerful allies your pancreas has. You were never wrong for wanting to eat eggs. The only mistake was fearing the protective yolk, frying it in heavy oils, and eating it at the wrong times with the wrong companions. Now you finally hold the switch to take back control of your morning numbers. Here is your simple 2-step protocol for tomorrow. First, I want you to go to your kitchen and hard boil a small batch of 2 or 3 eggs to keep in the fridge so they are instantly ready. Second, tomorrow morning or even tonight, I want you to try your first meal using just one of those boiled eggs, a slice of fresh avocado, and absolutely no bread before you eat the protein. Just try it once and see how your body feels. Which of these 4 rules surprised you the most today, and which one are you going to try first tomorrow? Are you going to test the nighttime liver switch or change your eating sequence? Leave your answer in the comments below. I read every single one, and please do not keep this information to yourself. Hit the share button and send this video to an older friend or family member who is still terrified of eating eggs because of their cholesterol. You might literally save their pancreas. I am Dr. Claire Whitmore. The aging process is never about depriving yourself of the foods you love. It is simply about learning how to eat a little smarter. I want to see you healthy, active, and truly enjoying your best years. Please remember that this video is meant to help you understand your body through the lens of science, not to replace your medical prescription. Especially if you are taking insulin, increasing your high-quality protein might lower your blood sugar more effectively than you expect. Always speak with your primary physician to adjust your dosage safely and never stop your medications on your own. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep protecting your health together, and I will see you in the next video.